Hey Timmy, how you doing, buddy?
Here we are another week, August 14th.
So I had to
So,
wipe my camera.
yes.
It's a little moist out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
well,
I'm still using my
your
uh,
phone.
yeah, my phone. I'm trying to get this thing to work a little better. You know what I
Well,
mean?
look at me, my wonderful background here.
Well, it's not as
I'm
nice
moving
as my
along,
pool.
you know. I
Hey, it's
don't
good
have
to
a
see you.
pool. Yeah, so we have several things we could talk about here. Okay, nothing very specific, I guess. But there are some things going on, and I think the city needs to know about them. And what would you like to hit on first?
Well, I thought it was a pretty interesting. We had Danny McCoy on, county executive. We
Yep.
just had him on a couple of days ago. We were talking about the community center. We're talking about the county in general. He seemed to
Yeah.
be really happy, and he seemed to be really enthused about trying to get the community center up and running. And just I thought it was really a great podcast, and it was one of our bigger ones. So
Yeah.
I called him up and I thanked him for coming on, letting him know that there was over 18,000 people the first couple days watched the show. So I was really excited about that. And then I'm not a big fan of the Times Union, and I don't really read them if ever.
Hmm.
Um, well, I should say I never read them, but
Well, I never read them either.
every once in a while something comes across the internet, and I read something where it said that Phil Calderon, who used to be he was a he's always been a political employee. Let's just say he
Hmm.
worked for Jerry Jennings, and then he was the county executive's deputy, and then Danny appointed him up to the airport, where he became the CEO, basically, of the airport. And I was reading in the paper that the board has informed him that they're not going to renew his $220,000 a year contract.
Hmm.
And so, as I'm reading a little deeper into it, it starts talking about how they believe that Danny McCoy wants to leave the county exec and the politics and go over and take that job at the airport. And at first, I thought to myself, you know, Danny's got a pretty good job, and he's a pretty smart guy, and he's outfoxed all these son of a bitches. Believe me.
Hmm.
I remember when he first told me he was going to run, he was the chairman of the ledge. And I said, Danny, what the hell are you talking about? He's not only outfoxed him, he's been there for, 3 full terms. He's done a fantastic job. And the more I thought about it, he appoints the majority of people that sit on the board that hire the person for the airport.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and why would he? He's been taking a lot of heat. They bust his balls all the time. They're
You could
always
get
trying to.
and you could get a sense of that on the last podcast with him. You
Yeah,
know.
you could. They
You-
bust his balls all the time. The whole thing with David Soares trying to
Yeah.
look at him to indict him and go after him, and I've
Yeah.
been there.
Yeah.
I've been there. I went through that whole entire bullshit, and I said to him, Dan, you know what? Why? You know what? If you could get out, you got your pension, you can go work $200,000 a year, work at the airport, oversee the growth of the airport. Get the freak out of politics,
Yeah. Yeah.
because these are nothing. You know what happens, Timmy? Honest to
Hmm.
God, it's full of sharks. It's full
Yeah.
of incompetent sharks
Yeah.
who can't make it in private sector.
A lot of people ask me, Tim, why don't you ever run? Because it destroys your lives. Okay.
Yeah, and the
Public
people that are
service.
there, yeah, they're vultures. They're
Yeah.
alligators. They're
Hmm.
animals,
Yeah.
and most of them could never make it in the private sector, right? People
Hmm.
that are holding these big, powerful jobs, Timmy,
Yeah.
probably couldn't run a gas station. And there's no
Hmm.
disrespect to the people who own and run gas stations. I'm
Right.
just using that as an example, that they couldn't
Yeah.
even run a small little business. Most of
Yeah.
them are incompetent. They're either public sector
Yes.
employees, and
Hmm.
Danny's outsmarted them all. He's done a good job. He's taken a lot of shit. They're going to go after his family.
Hmm.
You can only hold on so long before the alligators get hungry and they want your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So hey, if he now's the time for him to make a move.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does. I don't know if that's exactly, the Times Union doesn't know their hand from their ass, so I wouldn't.
They don't. And he was interested in maybe running for mayor. He told us on of Albany. He's
Yeah, yeah.
about that.
So who
No.
knows what he's going to do? But I just wanted to let you know that there was some news
Yeah.
about him, and I want to share it because again, I can't underscore. Danny, I know you're a closet listener, right?
Yeah. He is.
Um, the bottom line is he is outsmarted and outfoxed them all. You're a smart guy. None of these people thought you'd be there for 16 years, never mind
Yeah.
20 years, because he could stay for 20 if he wants.
Yeah.
Plus the time he's got in the legislature. Plus he was a firefighter, and he's done a lot of things that a
Yeah.
lot of people couldn't do.
Get the
And if
hell out of
it,
politics. Run the airport.
yeah, and if he's thinking about getting out
Yeah.
of politics, Danny, I'm all for it. Good luck.
Yeah.
Get out of politics. I'll have you back on the show. You can tell us what the hell you're going to do.
Yeah. Maybe I can get some cheap airline tickets to the Philippines.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to get it from him because he's the cheapest
No.
bastard
Yeah.
you'll
That's
ever meet in
right.
your life.
Right.
I always used to say, "How come you make more money than me and I'm buying all the beer?"
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
What
So,
else is going on?
well, look at I did tell you there, and I know we can't post the photos, but I'll put them up on my Fifth Ward page. I wanted to just tell you that leak at the reservoir, that hole, okay, has been dug out, and it's like twice the size, and it's filled up with water. Now, it's filling up with water somehow, okay, but it's not percolating out, so I think they got a real problem over there, and either they don't know how to fix it or they're afraid to continue digging, because if you undermine that thing and that thing lets go, okay, there's no way to stop it. So there is something still going on there, but I wanted to talk somewhat about the Olympics that just got over, okay? And you know, there's been a lot of controversy, Sean. Okay, and right, a lot of controversy, and one of them is the what's going on here now that it's going to be coming over to Los Angeles, right? In 2028, they're going
Yeah.
to have baseball there. They're going to have softball back in there, and they're going to get rid of breaking, whatever that
What?
is.
You're going to get rid of
I
breakdancing?
know.
You got to be kidding me. That's got to be one of the greatest sports of all times. I mean, come on, Timmy. The Olympics has become a joke. And from the opening ceremonies, whether they tried to portray the Last Supper or not, they certainly let people think that's what they were trying to do. And from that moment on, I shut it off
Yeah.
and I never turned it back on, right? Um, and I was shocked because I watched the news the other night, and it said it's one of the most watched Olympics in the last 20 years. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea. Because you know what happens? Everything's streaming now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It ain't cable TV, and people put stuff on their phones and stream shit,
yeah,
and they're not even watching it. And so, do I believe it's the most watched? No, because I heard the women's basketball was some of the least watched when they have a Caitlin Clark sitting home who could have brought in thousands and thousands and thousands of viewers to watch the Olympics with her on their team. They chose not to do that. So I heard they had a smaller audience. But I know what you're going to go to, Tim. You're going to go to the female boxer. Is she a male? Is she a female? Right. So go ahead. Let me
Well,
hear
I'm
what you
just
got.
gonna. What I know is a couple things that I keep reading, and you never know what is actually true and what's not true. But this person who's controversial, and there's two in different weight classes, okay. But the one person here, okay, and had a sparring partner in February. Now, as you know, the Olympics didn't start to the end of July, and the sparring partner, a female, said, "Look it." I don't know what I'm fighting, but it's certainly I'm not fighting a woman in this sparring, okay, preparing like that. And that person was saying it's a man. The IBA, the International Boxing Association, they claim they did testing, and in their testing, they were saying that basically, look at a woman, a female, has XX chromosomes, and a male has XY. And when they tested these two particular boxers, they removed them from the sport, saying that these two come up XY, XY, and they designated them as male. So what does the IOC does, the International Olympic Committee? They dispute those tests, as if and they didn't bother to do any testing on their own. So they let these guys, and I'll say guy, go through there and beat up on these women as a new Olympic sport, okay, and win the gold medal, okay, and deprive women who work so hard, okay, for years to go after that gold medal, okay, only to have this happen. It happened in two weight classes. So now they're talking about in the 2028 Olympics, they may not have boxing because we don't know what a woman is. Science has no way of knowing what makes a male and a female a female.
Look, the more you watch, look at, and I'm just going to be honest, and I don't care
Yeah.
if people like it or not, right?
Yeah, me too. I don't care.
There was a point in time when people who were gay were
Mm-hmm.
treated far different than everybody else.
Yeah.
I've always been a
Yeah.
firm believer that people, regardless of who they sleep with, who they fall in love with, which is none of my business, and it's a mystery that nobody can understand,
It's
right?
their business. Yeah.
Right.
I don't care
And
what
it's a
they're doing.
again, and
doing
it's a
their own
mystery that
bedrooms.
you don't know how you're going to fall in love, who you're going to fall in love with. I always believed they had the same amount of rights as everybody else. And the LGTB organization that was created was to fight for gay people's rights, right? And I believe that that organization did a phenomenal job, fought for the rights of gay people. And you know what happens, Tim? When they meet their goal, when they make it to the top of the
Yeah.
mountain, these organizations are paying people so much money, and there's so many people getting rich that they want to keep them alive and keep them going. So they go from LGTB to LGTB, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and now
Yeah.
they're fighting and everything, and they're trying to change the whole dynamics of the world. And now they're trying to say that chromosomes are not, they're fluid and they can be, they can be different. It's bullshit. A man is a man, a woman's a woman, and let's just say, for all intents and purposes, that there is some kind of genetic flaw. We know that happens in life.
That can happen in
Where a man is born, right? Where a man is born with female genitalia, or he's born with both. Whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
a doctor. I'm not a
Yeah.
scientist. Just like, there's cows that are born with two heads. That don't mean that, cows are supposed to have two heads, right?
Yeah.
So
You don't know which head is the female.
yeah, right. You don't know, right? You can't
Right.
figure this shit out. So let's just say these people have that genetic difference.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that whole thing out of the equation, and I'm going to look at it like this: they are considered, or they consider themselves to be women, yet they have the man chromosomes, they have all of the male levels of hormones, right?
Yeah.
So they have everything that a
chromosomes, yeah.
normal woman does not have. Correct?
Right.
All right.
A woman is
So-
XX, and they know
So
that.
let me use this put this in a perspective for you. If I was just a normal woman, right? Just a
Right.
normal woman,
Well, you kind of.
and I was going to compete in a normal woman's boxing match. I didn't hear what you said, because I'll jump through this thing and I'll
Go
show
ahead.
you. I'll show you I'm not a woman. But let's just say, for this argument. So now I have two women, natural biological women, and one of them is taking steroids. Would that person who's taking the steroids, who now has more of the male hormone inside of her, be eliminated, or would she be disqualified to fight the other girl? Would she?
I would imagine they would at this
Right,
point.
because
Yes.
in baseball and anything,
Yeah,
if you get
yeah.
caught
If you
taking
drug test-
steroids,
Right. Look,
Okay.
they drug test boxers too after
Okay.
fights.
So
UFC
here's the
fighters
point.
after fights. Yeah.
the point is that the girl who takes the steroids is taking it to give her more male hormones, right? Make her
Yeah.
bigger, make her stronger. And she would be eliminated from the boxing match for cheating.
Right.
In this case, these people who claim to be women have the amount of male hormones in them that a woman would have got from taking steroids, right?
Yeah.
Who would have otherwise been eliminated from boxing for cheating. So there's an
Right.
advantage. So this woman has all of the same stuff as you would have if you took steroids. You get thrown out because they say you're a cheater. She gets to stay in, and she gets to fight women who don't have those hormones, that don't have that strength.
Whatever that difference is, okay? Every woman that fought this person, they all said that person fights like a man and has the strength of a man. So
And that's the
and so I don't know. They say it has female organs. I don't know what the difference is, other than it's it's science, and if testing with X and XY doesn't determine, I don't know what you could do.
well. The
Other
only way
than
that I
what
could
they're looking to do in LA is get rid of boxing from
The
the
only way that I can look at it and try to explain it to
yeah
those imbeciles that want to fight and say it's a woman is
yeah
that if that other woman was taking hormones that gave her the a level of male hormones,
yeah.
she'd be thrown out for being a cheater,
I would
right?
say
Just like
take a male boxer, same weight class, and have that male fight that person. See how that fight ends up.
well, the bottom line is it's a
Yeah
scam.
yeah
Women are being eliminated
yeah.
from all of
Sports.
these years of fight. Yes, they
Right,
fought
but
their whole
it's
lives in
it's
order to become.
basketball. It's volleyball. Okay, Jordan Childs, who was an Olympic gymnast, won a bronze medal because they cheated her on her score. They corrected her score. Okay, after giving it to a Romanian woman. Okay, and then what happened is the U.S. protested within the 1 minute time period you're allowed to protest. Okay, they protested at 47 seconds. Well, what did they do? The Olympic Committee and this tribunal or whatever said, "Sorry, but we're not going to accept your protest. There, it's too late, and we don't want to review it again." It sounds like our damn ethics board. Okay, the way they treat, and they want our bronze medals back. It turns
Yeah, it's
out
just
the
it's
lawyer,
horseshit.
right, and the lawyer for the Romanian gymnast, okay, it works for Romania. He's a Romanian lawyer, and they did this. Well, it's all bullshit, and if they can't stop this stuff, it's going to ruin sports, okay, everywhere, okay.
Well, it's not just the sports, Timmy. But
Yeah, yeah,
it seems like the world is just totally
upside down.
off its axis. It's upside down. I'm going to tell you, I'm watching this whole entire presidential Kamala
Yeah,
Harris throughout. Listen,
right.
I've been a Democrat my entire life. If being a Democrat means that I have to elect her because I'm in some kind of club, social club called
Yeah,
Democrat, knowing that she is an imbecile at the highest level, then I can't be a Democrat no more. Because I'm not going to be put into a pigeonhole. And I'm not a Trump fan by no means, right? If I ran into Trump in a bar and he talked to me the way he talks to people, I'd knock his teeth down his throat. But you want to know something? The man's policies seem to have been far greater than the policies we live under now, right?
yeah,
So I'm not,
right, yeah, I agree, yeah.
but here's the two things that sold me. And these are the things that have told me that I can't be a Democrat no more. Okay? One is the castration of young boys and how I don't even want to know what the term is, what they do to young women. But when these young kids that are 9, 10, 11 years old
Yeah,
are confused about their sexuality, like every other kid probably is at that age, they have passed laws and are pushing. Some of them already passed, like in Minnesota, where
yeah,
this
it's
walls
what
are
you
gonna, yeah, where
right.
this
It
vice
was
president.
genital mutilation, I think, is what you're talking about. That's what that
Well, the
was.
point is they're allowing
Yeah,
young kids to become. They're allowing them to have
either be a girl or a boy.
surgery
Yeah,
and change their whole entire mutilate themselves
yeah. For
without
what?
this without
Yeah.
the consent of their parents. Timmy,
Right. Without right. Yes. And that's
tell me
what's going,
how
and it's happening
anybody.
through the school system. They're
Of
concealing it.
course, and it's
Right.
happening under Kamala Harris and
Yeah.
Joe Biden. And I
Yeah.
can't for the life of me understand why any human being that has any moral compass, and I'm not saying
Yeah.
mine points north all the time, right?
Yeah.
But if anybody who has any brains, anybody who has children, anybody who loves their
Yeah.
kids, how could you support a new world order of people that think men are women if they want to be, where kids can have their testicles cut off without the permission? You can't even get a freaking earring in the mall without a mother or father signing if you're not
Yeah.
18. But you can
Now you could
destroy your
be
body
right.
for life.
Right, you could be non-binary, which means you don't know what you are. Now the birth certificates are not putting mother and father anymore; they're putting something else. Okay,
How
it's
can people not see
insane.
there's something going on? How
Right?
can people of any normalcy
Yeah.
understand that this is crazy? They're jumping up and down. I don't even go on Facebook. I took a hiatus. I'll go on and post stuff about our show.
Yeah.
I wish people happy birthday, but I'm not engaging in any more political debate because I can't fucking argue with fools that are so stupid they don't know when they've lost the argument, Tim. I got
Yeah.
people that I've known for 30 years that act like they're little girls posting every 6 seconds about Kamala Harris. And I want to say to them, you support these little kids? And now they're even talking about in Minnesota and other places, California, if you interfere with your kid, the state can take them away from you
Right.
as
Right.
part of child abuse.
Do
The
that.
freaking people are
Do
abusing
that
my
in the deep
kids.
south and see what they do to you.
Well, that's what's happening
Yeah.
with this world, man.
Yeah.
And I think that's the scary part that everybody's concerned about. What happens when normal people get pushed to the point where they break? What happens when people they can't afford to eat, they're losing their pensions, their kids are getting castrated, our daughters can't play sports unless they're playing with men.
It's happening in Britain.
When do
Okay, they're
people
going
lose their
around
minds?
in Britain, they're knifing kids because they don't have guns, so they're knifing kids. And now the British people have had enough. And you're seeing this really in a lot of places worldwide. Okay, they're fed up with immigrants going to their country, creating crime, and harming I would say the natives of that country, okay, and it's because everything is upside down, okay. They're trying
Timmy,
to change the culture of our country,
we
okay.
just were watching TV, and you and I talked about it a
Yeah.
couple days ago. You have New York City and Boston, these sanctuary cities, where
Yeah.
kids are being raped
Yes. Yeah.
by these immigrants. And the Democrats who run these cities won't tell ICE. And it's happening by the same people over and over.
Yeah.
Rape, stab, robberies, to the point where they are just like a free-for-all. And our Democrats are hiding it from ICE because they want to be sanctuaries. I mean, how can normal human beings, what kind of mind do you have to say this is okay?
Yeah, do nothing about it. Yeah.
It's just, and then try to justify it. My mother used to say, if you lie to me and try to justify your mistake, it's only going to make it worse. These people are trying to justify castrating little kids, letting illegal immigrants come in from all over. I'm going to tell you, there's somebody from my city, Cohoes, New York, that had their wife deported just recently for something on a freaking document 30 years ago. They lived here for, 30 years. And they had to leave while these people are jumping over the border, and they get to get a court date from 15 years from now. There's nothing going on that's right. We're anti-cop. We're anti-America. We want to control our kids. They want to take away cows because they fart and make you eat test tube cafe bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Test tube cow, test tube cafe, I call it. Chicken. They want you to eat fake cheese. They want you to. They're putting all these chemicals in your food.
Right. No
Bill
meat.
Gates is Go ahead.
No
I didn't
meat.
hear.
I said no meat. Can't have meat.
Yeah, they want you.
Gotta eat
Bill Gates
bugs.
is buying up all the farmland. They're poisoning our sky so it can rain, and they can control the environment. And then they call foul and say it's global warming. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, man, but I can sit back and think to myself, I can't find it in my heart are in my mind to think it's okay for men to beat up women in a boxing match. It's not okay to have my son's balls cut off because he thinks he's a girl at 10.
Yeah.
I can't for the life of me think that a government should have any right and regulations over my kids and their
None
well-being
whatsoever.
unless they're being beaten
Right.
or tortured or some kind of
Right.
crazy shit,
Right.
right? I
Right.
want to eat what I want to eat. The government has no right to tell me I can't eat beef no more. I
Yeah.
got Bill Gates, the billionaire, trying to buy up all of the farmland
They're
in the
even
United States.
right. They're even going after the Amish, okay, for selling their natural, healthy, wholehearted stuff, okay, to their friends and families. Oh, you can't do that. That's what they. You can't be an independent farmer and sell your own things that you harvest from your own farm. Okay,
Yeah, that's what I'm
it's
saying.
crazy.
It's just you know what, Tim? Hey, Tim, I'm not a
Yeah.
conspiracy theorist. I'm not, but I'm starting to realize that this world is being run by a select small group of people who are trying to dominate us and own us, and it's becoming pretty scary. Um, and I was watching some YouTube channels, and they had a thing about the plane in Brazil that just fell out of the sky like it was flying, and it stopped and did a nosedive.
Well, it's
And
a
I find
flat
it
spin.
ironic, right? I find it ironic that some of those people, there was 8 cancer doctors that would have been on that plane. Some of them decided to take an earlier flight, but a lot of them got on that plane and it just happens to nosedive. And the rumor was, and again, it's conspiracy, but the
Yeah.
rumor is they were going to talk about how the healthy foods and stuff, they're finding some kind of either cures or treatments or something naturally. Is it true? You think it doesn't at least make you think that could happen, that they sabotaged the plane? I mean, did they let Donald Trump get shot? I mean, because
Yeah.
you and I are 2 morons that live in Cohoes, New York, doing a little podcast, and I think I would have said, maybe somebody should look at that roof.
That was
That's
awful, awful easy the way that all happened.
well, there's a
You
lot of
know,
things that there's a lot of things that make you go,
how can you? I mean, you got 2 snipers on the roof looking at this guy, and on the other roof, okay, nobody makes a phone call. Hey, what's going
Dude,
on?
the cops seen them. The cops called the Secret
Yeah,
Service. They don't have phones that connect. I mean, come on, for Christ's sake, you
they
can.
all use different radios instead of all being on the same frequency.
Timmy, I'm going to
Insane.
tell you how easy it is. I won't even
Yeah,
make it complicated.
yeah,
And there's a lot easier ways and better ways than what I'm going to say. I was
yeah,
a fireman for 27, almost 27 years, right?
yeah, yeah.
We had our own frequencies, right?
Yes.
And when we went to that 800 channel, because they were supposed to be better for us to communicate, because we used to have like a tin can and a string. And if you're in the basement of a burning building, you can't even yell for help. So when they went to this 800 megahertz, I guess that's what they
Yeah,
called it,
yeah.
Cohoes and Troy and Watervliet, nobody could communicate with each other anymore with the radios. So you know what we used to do? We would make each city would have a bag, and we'd all have one radio, and we'd give it to our mutual aid companies. And when they came over, they grabbed the bag and they'd have a radio to communicate with us. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Now, as time got advanced, now there's a radio that everybody has it. And when you push it from your thing, all the radios change over to that channel so they can hear you. And it's a lot easier. So you got to tell me that the federal government doesn't say to the cities they're going, to the police department, here's our radios, or here's our, even if they don't want to give up their frequencies because they're so secret, there's a way
Yeah.
to share
Yeah,
communication.
well, what it is called a guard channel, okay? And you see it in military aircraft there. There's a very specific frequency for everybody to chime in on, okay? If you
Yeah, that's what I'm
tune
saying.
in,
There's got to be a
right.
way.
Yeah, it's called a guard channel. I mean, one frequency where everybody tunes in. It's almost like a 911 type of frequency in which you could chat. And if another pilot's talking about something they just seen happen or whatever, they all hear it. Okay, if they wanted, you could do the same thing right on the ground. Look at
Yeah,
scanners. Look
it
at the
just,
host police. Okay, they don't want you to have a scanner. They hide their frequency with police or fire. Okay, so they don't make it easy for you to listen in on their scanners. Okay,
yeah.
actually, their radios, I should say.
Look at the more. Hey, Diane Paul absolutely agrees with us, right? I mean, the
Yeah,
moral of the story is this:
yeah,
I'm just raising these issues because for the first time in my life, I start thinking, what if, you know,
Yeah.
what if? What if they were trying to kill him? What if doctors on a plane who were going to talk about the curing of cancer
Yeah.
were
What if?
sabotaged?
Yeah. Yeah.
What if? And I never thought about that before. I used to say, you guys are nuts.
Hmm.
But after what happened to me, I
When you
started
see the right,
realizing
and you
the
see the way the
government,
world is changing too.
yeah, the government is dirty.
Yeah.
and and we're seeing it everywhere that there's something where they can cure something, that person disappears
Yeah.
or they're bought off.
They invent something new, okay, that could change the world in some way. That person disappears. It happened to Tesla.
I was
Okay.
Yes,
The FBI went in and raided his apartment after he died and stole all of his know-how. Okay. This stuff happens. Okay.
if people don't think the world's crazy and upside down, and maybe
Yeah.
we are living in the end times, I'm not going to share my religion with other people. That's
Yeah.
their prerogative. But if we are living in the end times, it's easy to look at the book, the great book, the Bible,
Yeah.
and say, hey, some of this stuff is getting creepy now, because it
Yeah.
seems to be like when you read it 20
Wow.
years ago, it didn't fit. Crypto
Well,
coins,
yeah.
trying to take away our ability to use dollars,
Yeah.
no more cash, everything's cashless. These are all things that are bad. These are all things on how we control people's lives,
Yeah.
and putting chips in your hands, and you unlock your work door and you buy your chips out of the goodie machine by
Yeah.
putting your wrist. That's bullshit. I ain't putting nothing in my wrist.
Yeah,
I
yeah, right. You
Now
get
they're
a
talking
chip in
about
your hand,
inside of
and
that.
right, you wave your hand over the scanner, and it rings up all your stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
you know,
crazy. And
you
now they're
know what?
talking about, remember that thing that we got yelled at for? Here, how do I do it? Hang on.
Yeah,
Uh,
don't
now
say
they're
that
saying
word.
that now they're saying there's like little particles that are not mechanical, but
Nanobots,
little like camera
nano,
particles or nano,
nanobots, or whatever. That
yeah, inside
self-assemble.
of your body.
Yeah,
I, so
self-assemble.
I don't know if it's true.
I don't
I
know.
don't know. All I know, people, is this. I don't know, but
Hey,
it's getting kind of spooky.
yeah, yeah, and technology. Look at, I mean, there was one person that interviewed AI clone, and this thing here, it looked exactly like the person who created it, everything, and it talked, and you could still tell it was a robot, but it was weird looking. Hey, I wanted to touch on something. Have you seen those two new? They're all aluminum. They're like passage gates inside Sam's Club. Okay, but when
Yeah.
you
So
okay,
when you go out,
what they're going to be able to do, okay, is when you push your basket through, it will scan all the items and in there based on their barcodes
well,
and
they already
everything.
do it.
Yeah. So when they're going to get rid of the person that's checking each thing with that little clicker.
Yeah,
That's
because
the
right
technology
now, if
that's
you go to
going on.
Sam's Club and you go through the one, you got to pay extra money, but you just throw the shit in your cart and you push your cart through, and it rings it all up based on
Yeah.
somehow reading the barcodes.
Yeah. Somehow
So
it's
now
doing
they'll
it
know if
that
you're
way.
stealing stuff. But
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
who gives a shit? Because in the new world we live in, you can steal up to $900.
Yeah. And then the
If I knew
police,
that, I wouldn't have
right.
paid for that $100 filet mignon that I bought.
Yeah, and my wife is in there. She always buys these little renews it scent things, right? They're under lock and key in Walmart. Okay, you have to flip up a panel, take it out, and it thanks you for picking one out off the shelf.
The whole
Right?
thing's under lock and key.
Yeah,
Timmy, listen, I don't have any more guesses, man. I'm running out of
yeah,
guesses, and I'm running out of standing up and saying, people, you're all crazy. Because now I'm starting to realize that most of us are sane, and the crazy people that are fighting with me on Facebook about how great Kamala Harris. Day one, she's
yeah.
going to do all this shit. Where's she been for 3 years?
She's
She's
gonna
been the
get beat.
vice freaking president for three
Yeah,
years. She's been ahead of the border. She's a moron. They're
she's
all
gonna.
morons.
Yeah, she's
I'm a
gonna lose in a
moron.
landslide. Hey,
You're a moron. We're all
right?
morons.
I don't
But
care.
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, and all the saints in heaven, at least we have some kind of brain that tells us all these things we talked about today
Yeah,
just don't seem to
yeah.
fit well into my stomach.
And
I
I've
get
heard
upset.
right. And I don't really care what people think about me either. Look at, I wanted to touch on one thing. So, for you people who've seen that water percolating up out on the newly paved road, I believe Boulevard, okay, there's two metal caps. They take them off to shut off the water in the mains, okay? Well, both of them are leaking. Okay, one about I would say 75 to 100 feet away from the other. One's right smack in the middle of Garner and Valete Boulevard there. It's leaking right up out of the cap. They newly paved that area. It's leaking 100 feet further west, leaking right up out of that area. And so within, I would say, 100 feet, we're going to be digging up the newly paved road. And
Yeah.
that happens, you know.
Well, it happens,
Yet,
but there's ways to fix that. I'm going to tell you what we did. We bought a $100,000 camera. Okay, and we came up with the solution that every time we paved the road, the first thing we would do is run the camera through all the sewer to make sure the sewer lines weren't going to break, so we didn't have to dig up the new road, and all the valves that were going to be
the water
blacktop.
valves. Right.
Yeah, we would fix and replace any of the broken valves, and that would probably eliminate about 80%. Now, there's nothing you can do if you blacktop and excuse me, and you end up having a water break because there's no way to run the camera through the water lines, right?
Right, yeah.
But if you check the valves, you check the sewer, that eliminated 50-60% of the problem, so that you weren't putting down new streets and then digging them up a week later. But I'm
Yeah.
sure they're not doing that because if you ever walk down to that nice little pocket park that they made on the corner of White Street,
Yeah,
and you're seeing the 42-foot of weeds growing out of it,
yeah.
you would realize that they're probably not putting the sewer camera down to look for sewer line breaks because they can't even cut the grass.
Yeah,
The city's a shithole.
yeah, and you know what? During this big 3 inches of rain that we had the other day, right? Residents up there near Harvard Street, Beacon Street, some of those side streets there, okay, they were claiming that somehow, even though the water sewer was separated, I believe in that area, they separated storm from sewer. They had
Yeah.
sewage still backing up into their bathtubs and around their toilets and how can
Well,
that happen?
Well, one of the problems is that there's so many lines that need to be separated that you're not getting them all.
That's probably
And
what
that
it
amount
is.
of rain came down. Every city dealt with the crap. I'm not going to blame.
Yeah.
I'm
No.
not going to blame
That was-
Keeler.
no.
For I blame him enough for the things he
Yeah.
does. I'm not going to blame him for making it rain that hard. But I will tell you that that stupid thing on Columbia Street didn't do a whole hell of a lot.
No, it didn't.
No,
Whatever.
it just took all the dirt and pushed it down the street.
Right, that sawtooth thing, whatever you want to
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sawtooth thing with the shitty looking weeds are growing up out of it. It's
Hey, Timmy,
insane.
listen, it was good to see everybody. I hope that you had a great week. And, I told you a couple weeks ago that I was building a studio. So I had the floor was finished today. All the paint was done. So I'm excited. Within a few weeks, we should be in our own studio. And Truth, Lies, and Political Bullshit will be almost like professional. So hang with us. Keep watching. We're going to keep talking. You keep listening. And
Yeah.
hey, if you got something to say, we're going to have an email where you can send it to us. We'll be working on getting all of the comments back up and running. But sorry it takes a little long. This was just two guys trying to do something fun. And it's getting to be the point where we're doing so well with it that we got to make it real because so many people join that we crash. I started realizing that some of the stuff we were having was too many people were joining into the show and the bandwidth wasn't big enough. So I guess it's all good stuff. So, hey, until the next week, Timmy,
Adios.
don't box any of those women. You might get your ass kicked.
Yeah, like my wife.
And I'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye now.
Take care, man.